Welcome, fans, to the Empty Bottle Sports Podcast. My name is Zane, your host, alongside my co hosts Corey and Danny, as always. Guys, we'll go ahead and get started. We got a full slate of sports tonight, but as always, introductions and what are you drinking? So, Corey, how are you tonight, and what are you drinking?
Not half bad. My teams didn't lose. That is a rarity for me, and I am drinking Not Your Father's root beer. Didn't want to go with the hard stuff on a Tuesday.
Oh, good choice. Good choice, Danny. Welcome in, and what are you drinking?
Yeah, happy to be here as always. I got White Claw raspberry flavor this fine evening, so we got that for the rest of the show.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I got in my Shriners class, it's a double chocolate coffee oatmeal breakfast stout. So
Wow.
quite on the opposite end of what Corey went with. It's about 8.4%, but it's pretty darn good. So with that, we got a lot of content here: college football, NFL, my back hurts, Meatball plays of the week, and then we'll take a look at our hometown Chicago Bears as well. So to start things off, we're going to play Zero or Hero with the top 10 college football teams. We'll give our take on what we think this team's potential is, or if they'll be out of the top 10 very soon. So let's start at 10, going to number 1. Danny, I'll go to you first. Utah, Zero or Hero?
Question still at quarterback. Starting quarterback is still recovering from the ACL injury last year. I mean, they got the grit. They've been here before. As far as I think right now, they're the third best team in the Pac-12. So I'm going to go Zero until the quarterback situation gets figured out.
Yeah, definitely question marks with the return of Cam Rising. Corey, Zero Hero for the Utah Utes.
Yeah, I'm right there with Danny. It's a 0 for me until we get the quarterback thing situated. He was great when he was healthy. Coming off that injury, I just got to see it, and I haven't. So once we see it, maybe. But I'm with you. Third best in the conference, and I don't know that it's terribly close. I think the gap between them and second and first is pretty large. So.
Yeah, I think you don't just stumble onto being 4-0. I think we've got something here with Utah. But I'm with you guys, and it's funny how we have the Conference of Champions right now, Pac-12. Everybody's leaving after this year, and we've got a bunch of teams just playing really, really good football. But again, this year, only 4 teams. We don't expand the playoff until next year. So it's going to be really, really tight coming down the end of the season here. I would agree with you guys. I'm giving Utah a 0. For now, I don't think they'll be there at the end of the year. Moving down the line to number 9, huge win for Oregon versus Colorado. Danny, back over to you. 0 or Hero for Oregon?
I mean, I love Colorado. I'm on hype train still, but I don't know about a
Train's off the
huge
rails,
win
buddy.
for maybe a hype. Yeah, it was a big win for hype for Oregon.
Well, it would have been a huge loss. So
yeah, that is true. Despite Colorado being a ranked team, everyone kind of thought they were just waiting for the bottom to drop out. I would actually have Utah ahead of Oregon, in my opinion here. But they're fine. I think the Pac-12, they're just gonna cannibalize themselves. They're fine. They can be they're zeros right now until they can prove that they can beat Washington and USC.
Yeah, Corey, Danny putting some mad disrespect on the Conference of Champions right now. What are your thoughts on Oregon? 0 or Hero?
Hey, I'm kind of okay with it. I think we're gonna heap on some more. I'm gonna say 0 for now. I mean, they've done everything they're supposed to do so far. They've beaten everybody they've played, and it's not one game has been even somewhat close. I mean, they've beat the brakes off of everybody. Prime's entire train is off the rails. It's on fire. I mean,
let's not go there.
I don't want to say I called it, but like
Who's wearing the name
I
in
think
there?
I remember saying something about that Louis was a knockoff.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
saying. Yeah, no, Colorado's trash.
They're gonna
Anyways,
go
moving
11 and
on.
1, and people would be like, "No, yes, yeah, I told you so." They went 11 and
They're
1.
not. Don't they have to play USC?
They play USC
I'm sure
this week.
Washington and
They're gonna get dragged. They might lose just as bad in that one.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
I
know.
think
That's gonna be bad.
Oregon for me is also a zero, and not because of anything we've seen so far. We just know any nighttime primetime games, Bo Nick's going to throw 5 interceptions.
Bo Nix.
So he's just not that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
We've established
Hey
this
man, Bo
now in
Nix
his
looks
8th
great against
year.
high school teams.
Yeah, the sample size of 8 college football seasons, we now know Bo Nix is not going to show up in primetime games. So I am absolutely okay giving the Ducks, right, their own logo, big zero for the Oregon Ducks. All right, moving down the list. Quite surprising, honestly, for me. USC at number 8. They did have a hard time with Arizona State last weekend, but 4-0 at number 8. Corey, back over to you. Zero or hero for USC?
Yeah, so this one's tough because I had USC, I believe, in my Final Four at the beginning of the season. And I still believe in Caleb Williams, but yeah, they struggled. They didn't look so great this last weekend. Um, I don't know if I want to go all the way to zero, but I think they've fallen off of that hero podium for me for now. I don't know that I would have dropped them this far, though. Seems like a big drop for a team that, they've proven some things and they've returned some talent from last year to do so. If I have to pick one or the other, I'm going to go zero now, but reluctantly, begrudgingly.
Yeah, we're kind of in the space here where 8, you're really kind of on that bubble sphere. One loss, probably you're not getting back into that top 4. Danny, zero or hero for the USC Trojans?
0. They haven't played anybody. 0.
Zero. Okay, man, just no love right now from the Empty Bottle Sports team
Oof.
right now. USC, for me, I think down the line is going to be a hero. I think they'll be there at the end of the season. So I'm gonna go hero, giving it our first hero to the USC Trojans. Uh, Continuing in the Conference of Champions, we have the Washington Huskies. Have looked incredible. Michael Penix Jr. transferred from Indiana, could have been, supporting those Hoosiers for Corey, even though he is a Michigan fan. I'll throw it back over to Corey. Zero or hero for the Washington Huskies?
I'm going to go zero here, despite the fact that offense is consistently impressive. The defense led up 32 to California, if I'm not mistaken. That hurts. That's not good. Giving up 32 to California, that's some caution flags for me. I would have USC ahead of them still, and I may even have Penn State or USC ahead of Penn State as well. I'm gonna go zero for Washington. They haven't proven enough. The only person on that team to me that's proven is the quarterback in Penix, and he's also in like his 5th or 6th year, I think, of eligibility at this point. So I might have
Yeah,
exaggerated that.
I think he got injured. Um,
He did. It was a knee
so
injury. I think he had it twice actually, but I'm not sure.
yeah. Danny, over to you on the Washington Huskies, another team that's on the move from the Conference of Champions. Zero or hero?
Yeah, future Big Ten team. Still weird to say, but I'm going to call them heroes. They've had a much tougher schedule than USC has, playing 2 of the best power group of 5 teams out there in Boise State and Michigan State, and they just absolutely dismantled both of those 2 teams. So I'm going to go hero. And yes, I
Okay,
did
good
call
to know.
Michigan State.
Good to know. Michigan State is now a
I
Group of 5 school. That's
Hey, I'm
that's
on
some
board. They suck.
that's some severe disrespect as well. I'm gonna go zero as well,
Down with little brother.
just because you're looking at probably one team from the Conference of Champions. So at the end of the season, I think Washington will end up being a zero. We'll keep it moving down the line. Another team that seems to be in it every year. They finally got rid of their eighth-year quarterback in Sean Clifford. So back over to you, Danny. James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions, zero or hero come the end of the season.
Absolute heroes. Absolute heroes. In fact, I would put them above. I know they don't have as big of a win as Ohio State did, but I would put them above Ohio State right now. I've just seen better all-around team at Penn State than I have with Ohio State. So they're definitely heroes, and I'm thinking they should be higher than they're actually ranked.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, Big Ten rival to your Michigan Wolverines, zero or hero for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
It's a zero until I see them prove it. This is Penn State's this is their MO every year. They start off hot. They look incredible. James Franklin's finally got his guys. He's got his stud running backs. He's got the quarterback that's a pro prospect. Oh, they just lost to some nobody team. And then they get blown out by Michigan, Ohio State, sometimes Michigan State or Wisconsin. Yeah, they beat Iowa, I believe. Whatever. I don't think so. I'm going zero until they prove it. James Franklin is a choke artist, and he's up there with the best of them.
Corey, do you have a problem with me? I get that is their MO. That's
they got to prove it. They got to prove it to me because
I've
I've bit on this before, and I'm not doing it this year.
I know it's been a few years since I've bit, so it's time for me to jump back into that pool.
Yep, yeah, I feel you.
The Penn State is the walking embodiment of Bo Nix. They're basically the same person. So we just know in prime time that they're going to fail us. So we are going to mark Penn State down as a zero. On to number 5. Really going to be fighting for some top 4 real estate with these teams now. Florida State, back over to you, Corey. Zero or hero. They did struggle against Clemson to close them out. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is another one of those teams where I think they're just on the fringe. I'm going to go zero, but I really wouldn't be surprised to see them end up being a hero. I just don't think that they're going to compete with the top 4 teams, whereas I think Washington, USC, Oregon, some of these other teams could put up more of a fight. I'm worried about Florida State. I would like to see Florida State do well for some reason, but I'm going zero. I don't know. I just have this bad feeling.
Okay. Man, all chalk from Empty Bottle Sports tonight. We're just no confidence, man. I think we got burnt on some bets this weekend, maybe, but everyone's upset.
I did.
Danny, Florida State, zero or hero?
I'm going absolute hero with this team. I mean, they had one of the best wins of the season against LSU on the neutral site game, but then they beat Clemson at Clemson. I can't remember the last time Clemson lost an at-home conference game. I just can't. I know it's not the Clemson.
I do remember them losing to Duke, though.
Still, yeah, but they're still. I mean, it's still Clemson at home until proven otherwise. And that was the first loss in forever at home. So I'm going absolute hero. And in the short span that we've had this season, they've proved to be a very good team.
Danny and I are butting heads a little today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are really going back and forth. You know, Danny talking about how good Clemson is, yet in our group chat talks about how Gabe Kludnik is booty. So,
okay, yeah, he is terrible. He is absolutely
I don't know if we can maybe get some consistency here on Empty Bottle Sports with Danny.
Check out our TikTok later. I will post the screenshots. I've got the receipts.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just gonna say I
won't get those ones though. I don't want to get canceled.
Okay. So for me, Florida State's actually going to be a zero, and the reason is I've actually got UNC, potentially top 6, top 4 at the end of the season with Drake May. The guy is just insane. He's really good. Going to be a clear number 2. Pick to Caleb Williams. Any other year, he's the number 1 pick for sure. So I expect them to be top 6, top 4. A resurgence. You know, Mac Brown coming out of retirement, he's done so well for the with the UNC Tar Heels. So I look for them to be a hero towards the end of the season. Moving on to the top 4, Ohio State. I'm not sure if we can really call this a big win. Notre Dame feels like also Bo Nix 2.0. But it- you know, I don't know if you guys watched that game live, but I did. So walk off run, only 10 members on the field for Notre Dame. Danny, back over to you. Ohio State, zero or hero.
Zero. Zero. I appreciate the grittiness that Ohio State showed on the last drive, actually deciding to run up the gut instead of trying to do a jet sweep like they tried in the second to last drive. That's just not Big Ten football, trying to do a jet sweep on 4th and inches. It's just not. That was cowardly by Ryan Day. I'm glad
Fourth
he
and
made up.
inches. Let's get to the sideline.
Yeah. I'm glad he made up for it on the next drive and they punched it in. They had to do it against 10 guys to actually convert it, but you know what? They still did it, and give them props, but I'm still not convinced by Ohio State.
Yeah, they are. That's going to be tough. They were clutch. They made clutch plays down the stretch. But if going up against a Michigan, we'll see what they're able to do. They did look much better with Jim Harbaugh, but we'll get to that later. Corey, Ohio State, zero or hero.
Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, I'm already biased, obviously. I am going to say zero, but they did show grittiness for the first time all year. Um, they didn't give up. The quarterback, while he didn't really look that good, he's getting a lot of hype, but I didn't think he really looked very good until the end of the game where Notre Dame ran the most ridiculously pathetic defensive scheme. When you have been in this quarterback's backfield and head all day long, you give him, you drop everyone back, give them the 1 yard line. It's like, yeah, I mean, any D1 Power 5 quarterback should be able to make that throw. He was like, it was, yeah, not great. And then they barely punched the ball into the end zone when they were up a man. Like,
Yeah,
Notre Dame putting 10 men out there. I mean, they gifted him the win. Props to Ohio State for taking advantage and, not dropping the ball. But, like, I mean, I don't feel like they proved much in that game. I think Notre Dame proved more than Ohio State did. I think Notre Dame just proved that they're not ready yet. Like, they've got a
yeah,
lot of talent and grittiness too, but they're just not. In the big games, the lights are too bright, So, zero.
yeah, definitely. I think Sam Hartman needs maybe 2 or 3 more years of experience. Giving him 9 or 10, and maybe Notre Dame will be ready. But outside of that,
I
I'm
thought
with
he
you
looked really
guys.
good.
Ohio State for me, zero. Let's move on to that team who's back. We all know they're back, okay, guys? They've been back. Texas at number 3, zero or hero. Hook 'em horns. Uh,
Welcome.
Danny, what you got for these guys?
Absolute heroes, absolute heroes. Texas confirmed back. I don't want to hear anything else. And if anyone says otherwise, they're just wrong, because this is the year of Texas, and Georgia is, they're shaking in their boots right now. They're terrified of what's to come. They know what they can do to Michigan, but they haven't seen Texas yet. So
Yeah.
Texas is confirmed back.
Texas just built different down there, man. Corey, zero or hero for our Texas Longhorns.
I'm going to ignore that comment and go against my nature, and I'm going to be with Danny on this one. I'm going to go hero for Texas. I'm riding the train. They're back. Those top 2 teams are both going to drag them and squat on them at the end, but they're back. They're legit. They're a top 4, top 3 team. I'm with it. Danny's still wrong, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Texas back, 100% hero. Enough said. Moving on to number 2, a questionable number 2. I'm not really sure what we're doing here, but Michigan Wolverines. Corey, back to you. Zero or hero.
We're not back because we never left. We're going to go back, and we're going to win this time. And we are heroes, despite the fact that we really still haven't played anyone this year. We bullied Rutgers. It started off. It was a little closer than the box score showed. I feel that first half was pretty tight. I'm not going to say there was any worry or concern for me that we would ever lose that game, but I don't love to see Rutgers putting up a fight. I liked that we had like a couple dunkable teams in the Big Ten that were consistent. They're still heroes. They're still rolling. I don't expect to have much in the way of struggle until Ohio State. Penn State maybe, but like I said, I'm not sold on them. I'm not worried about them. It's Ohio State that I'm worried about more than anyone else in the Big Ten. And even then, I still think Michigan's grittier and tougher than Ohio State, and I think they're going to drag them. So
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Um, we'll probably disagree, but I'll throw it to Danny first. Zero or hero for the Michigan Wolverines.
0, guys, because you know what? Good teams win, great teams cover, and Michigan just does not cover. They are over 4 on the season with covering, and they just don't have it in them. They don't have that dog in them. They don't have that killer instinct to just put teams away like they should be. And
it's a
that's
marathon,
concerning.
not a sprint, Danny. That's always been Illinois' problem.
The thing is we trip the starting line.
You try to get off the starting blocks too fast and blow your MCL, ACL, PCL right off the gate.
Yeah, we usually run in one leg 10 steps into the race.
Wow.
Michigan, yeah, sure. They're 0 with the betting, but then the heroes, they're heroes until the playoff starts.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how they fare down the stretch. Sort of like the Conference of Champions. I think the Big Ten's going to have to start playing each other now. So we'll see who comes out on top. If there could be a lot of parity in the Big Ten this year. I'm not sure. Might end up with a couple 2-loss teams. Could really hurt their chances. But I still see probably the Big Ten champion 2 losses probably sneak a 4 seed there. But for me, I think right now, I think I'd have to put them hero. But there is a big game against Ohio State at the end of the year. I think it's November 24th or 25th, something like that. It's on a
always
Saturday.
in November.
Tickets were upwards, I think, of north of $600 for nosebleeds. So comment down below if you want to see Empty Bottle Sports invest in those tickets. And maybe we'll have to make a road trip. We'll see. Just to see Michigan.
Could be a lot of empty bottles on that trip.
Yeah. All right. Moving over to number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs have really claimed the spots all of last year and all of this year so far. Corey, back to you. 0 hero for your Georgia Bulldogs.
It's a hero, and it's gonna be that until somebody proves me wrong and beats them. And I don't see that happening in the regular season. Maybe in an SEC championship game if they draw a hard matchup there, or obviously in the playoffs, who knows? But regular season, I don't see this team losing. The gap seems to have narrowed between the SEC and the other conferences, and even between Georgia and some of the other teams potentially. But there is no evidence for me to drop them out of that hero status or that number 1 ranking. So.
Yeah, Danny, let's you've been contradicting Corey all night. What do you have to say for the Georgia Bulldogs?
Yeah, come on, Danny, come at me.
No, I gotta agree with Corey on this one. We thought the dreadnoughts of the MAC, the Ball State Cardinal, could maybe give a little bit of resistance and give them a scare, but they got absolutely crushed by Georgia. So that did not happen. I like Corey says, until proven otherwise, you just can't say 0. So they're a hero until the playoff, and then maybe the team finally picks them off.
Yeah, they're going to be. I think they'll sit at that number 1 spot all year. So I'm with you guys. I got Georgia Bulldogs as a hero. So a really great weekend of college football. Last weekend we had 3 games that both teams were ranked. So college football, man, this year is going to be so exciting. And then next year with the playoff expansion, college football is only going to continue to grow. So very, very excited for that in the future. But for now, we'll skip ahead to the NFL. We also had a great weekend in the NFL. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead to our My Back Hurts segment of the week. Every week, we pick our player who absolutely carried their teams to victory. So, Corey, I will throw it over to you for your My Back Hurts player of the week.
Yeah, we're going to run it to the Miami game where they put up Madden-looking numbers. Absolutely absurd. Denver should just clean house. Whole roster gone. Get rid of the front office. Everything. Ownership should probably sell. Give away their whole fortune. Everything needs to go. I'm going to go with the running back for Miami, Devon Ashan, I believe. I could very well be pronouncing that wrong, and I even looked it up. So, come at me for that if you want. That's fine. But he was 18 carries for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe his longest run was just shy of 70 yards. I mean, how? I mean, how do you beat a team that has a running back that runs for that many yards on that many carries with still getting 2 touchdowns? And then he wasn't even their leading scorer. I mean, you can't. It could have
Yeah,
just as easily have been Tua, by the way. Like,
great pick. You also had Raheem Mostert, also got me about 40 fantasy points. So anybody from the Dolphins really would have been a great choice from this week 3.
Jalen
Danny,
Wild didn't even play, and I think he still got 10 points.
just for writing his name, on the test, he gets points.
Yeah.
Danny, who did you have week 3 by back hurts player of the week?
So I'm staying in the Conference of Champions. There's a lot of firepower in this conference. Last week, I talked about Michael Penix Jr. in Washington putting up big numbers. I'm going with Washington State, going Cam Ward, over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns in a rivalry game against Oregon State, the future remaining members of the Pac-12 or Pac-2. And Oregon State, Washington State, really good teams this year. That was a really good game to watch. It was absolute shootout. Slammed the over on that one. It easily cleared. I'm going Cameron Ward for the Cougs this week for my back hurts.
Awesome. Yeah, that is a great pick. That was a great game, and that conference is going to continue to provide fireworks throughout the year. My pick, I went over to Justin Herbert, Los Angeles Chargers from last week, despite Brandon Staley almost ruining that game and going 0-3. For sure, we would have needed to see Kellen Moore elevated to head coach if they threw that one away. But Justin Herbert, 405 yards, 40 of 47, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The offense has not been the problem for the Los Angeles Chargers this year, so hopefully they get on a roll. But my back hurts player of the week for me is going to be Justin Herbert. So we will go ahead and transition now to our Meatball plays of the week. These are funny bloopers, bonehead plays, may have cost you a drive or even the game. Corey, go ahead with your Meatball play of the week.
I'm just still astounded by it. But Notre Dame running 10 men onto the field at the end of the biggest game of these kids' lives, Freeman's life as a head coach. It just speaks to not being prepared. It's sad for their fans, who I don't care about in the slightest, and pathetic. And if I could have had both teams lose, trust me, I would. But at least one of them is going to be heartbroken if the other one gets some stupid comeback story, So that was my Meatball play of the week. You could have picked the terrible pass coverage where they got the ball down to the 1 yard line. But yeah, running 10 men onto the field. It's good to know that Notre Dame education allows you to count to 10, almost 11.
Yeah, I can't remember who called the timeout, but it's the new rule. You cannot call back-to-back timeouts anymore this year. So I don't know if Notre Dame called a timeout before that play, and couldn't call a timeout again once they realized it. But I think that's an interesting wrinkle this year, in that you cannot call back-to-back timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, over to you for your Meatball play of the week.
Yeah, I'm going one that happened outside the lines, Colorado, Oregon this past weekend before the game started. To kind of make fun of Coach Prime, the Oregon Duck, whatever the Duck's name is, came out in fine glasses and the cowboy hat. And then he did something, and the head fell off, and he was just looked like he had his pants fell down. He didn't know what to do, and so he just sprinted 40 yards back into the stadium with his head just laying on the ground. And it looked like he just pooped his pants or something, and he was just embarrassed, and that's how he walked.
He had a Paul Pierce moment.
Yeah.
I did see that. That was very, very funny. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. Mine, I'm actually going to throw it back to week 1 in the NFL because I just saw that this happened, but Hayden Hurst actually caught Bryce Young's first touchdown pass, and then he threw it into the stands. He ended up having to tweet out. They had to go get the ball because he just tweets out, "Sorry guys, yes, I did black out and throw his first touchdown into the stands. Everybody calm down. We went and got it. Like he just like chucked it into like." Oh, that was pretty funny. So,
Don't they get fined for that too when they throw the ball in the stands?
yeah,
So he
yeah.
looks dumb and he's losing money. Just L's on L's.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. So that wraps up as always our meatball plays of the week, just bloopers from the sports weekend. So to wrap it up, we're gonna go to our hometown Chicago Bears, and we're gonna discuss the house cleaning that needs to happen in this organization. So Danny, being here locally with me in Chicago, I'm gonna let him go first. Danny, do the Bears need to take out the trash? Who needs to go from this organization?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be at the game. It was a great experience at Arrowhead. Fans were awesome. It actually turned in. It actually didn't turn out like at the beginning that fun. It was a lot of making fun of me for being a Bears fan. Take that, we just scored on you, and then it started to turn. After the fourth and fifth touchdown is when they were like, "Hey, dude, we're just really sorry for you, man. Like we just feel bad. Like hope you didn't take that personally, right?" And that's honestly what it's felt like to be a Bears fan for the past, like, I don't know, ever. Because it turns out to be competitive at the beginning and you're going at each other's throats at the beginning of the game. And then the other team just feels sorry for you and sorry for just beating you into the dirt. And you know what? The Bears fans, we deserve this because each week we put on the Bears jersey, we act like it's going to be anything different. We put our heart on the line and then it just gets, boom, ripped in two. So can't expect anything different. I think there was a lot of hope going into this year with the added weapons and hopefully the more experience on the defensive side of the ball, at least in the backfield, has not made a difference. In fact, they look worse than last year. And last year, I thought they were at least competitive in a lot of games, even though they lost pretty much everything. They at least looked competitive and had some life to them. This year, they just look lifeless. Lack of execution and, worst of all, lack of effort.
Yeah, I think that sums it up a lot. Are you in favor of any changes?
At this point, so if they're going to make changes, they have to clear out the head coach and the quarterback, and this GM has to stay until the next quarterback leaves because I'm tired of having the coach and the GM and the quarterback not all on the same page. The GM has to pick the coach, and the GM and the coach have to pick the player that they want. Too many times it's just been 2 out of 3 or 1 out of the 3 are there, and it's just not ever lined up. And then we're just in the same process again in 3 or 4 years. So if Justin Fields goes, Matt Eberflus needs to go, and vice versa. Ryan Poles, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, let him stay a few more years, but if Fields goes, so does Eberflus. Right now, I won't make that decision. It's too early in the season, but it's definitely headed in that direction.
Yeah, I'll give my thoughts as we conclude here. But Corey, your thoughts on the Chicago Bears? Do we need to clean house? Would you make any changes? What would you do?
Yeah, I thought about this for a while, and I agree with Danny. I think it's too early in the season, but it's never too early to start planning. So I would give him some more time in case he pulls off a miracle, but I think all the Colts fans that I know would agree that Eberflus, in general, as a general rule, has to go at all times. Get him out. I think getting him out is the start. I don't know if the GM is really the answer, and I don't think that Fields is even going to want to be there if they fire people. So you probably have to move him too. Tank for Williams. Try to hit a home run with a head coach and evaluate the GM, I suppose. But the problem seems to come from ownership. Somebody from the top down is a problem. Like if you've had this kind of sustained problems, speaking as a Browns fan, I know all about it. You've got problems from the very tippy top down. How do you get rid of owners?
Yeah, I think that I think that the issue, number one, the Bears need to move to Arlington Heights, right? Get it, and I say that all kind of tongue in cheek, but I really do think that we need a facility, probably a dome, that people actually want to play for, right? Play in. So that's number one. Become an actual destination people would actually want to play for. Number two, probably both Eberflus and Getsy need to go. Fields probably needs to go as well. Probably all three. It's a three-headed monster right now, and all three need to go. And I look at that, and I think the Carolina pick is looking. Carolina's been competitive, but the Carolina pick is looking very enticing if they continue down this road. It's them and the Broncos are going to be battling it out for 0-16. Uh, but so I do think we'll be in the Drake May sweepstakes, in the um, Caleb Williams sweepstakes, somewhere in that top three. So I think you have a chance to hit the reset button. I don't know, maybe throw something at Lincoln Riley potentially. Get a package deal with both of them. I don't know, maybe Chicago Bears give Deion Sanders a call, see what he's doing, next year. I don't think Eberflus, because you cannot just look at this year for the Bears. You got to look at last year and not forget that we went 3-14. So I think all of that combined, and you take that in the aggregate, and to me, Eberflus definitely got to go. Getsy definitely got to go, and Fields probably trade for draft capital, rebolster your offensive line, and add a few more pieces on defense. Roshan Johnson looks like a very good player. I think we actually did a good job scouting that Roshan Johnson, getting him in the 5th round. I think that was a great draft pick. And
I like
DJ
Darnell
Moore,
Wright.
Yep, Darnell Wright was good as well. And we know DJ Moore can play. So it's not DJ Moore. So we got to get it figured out. And hopefully, if we lose to the Broncos, if the Broncos drop a 70-piece on us and just pure frustration for having a 70-piece dropped on them, it's over. Everyone just head home. Just head home. Warm up the bus for the rest of the season. Oh man. That kind of wraps it up for us and our sadness for the Chicago Bears and recapping this week in sports. But any final comments from Danny and or Corey?
Terrible way to end the show.
Yeah, just sad. I got to come up with a better closing. I got to come up with a better closing segment. But again, thank you everybody for watching. Again, if you do want to see Empty Bottle Sports invest in that Michigan-Ohio State game, comment down below. We'll look at making a road trip. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.